And welcome to the Glacially Musical Podcast. As always, it is Nick Cameron, the founder and visionary leader of Glacially Musical, joined by my good friend, a man who's always got questions, who's always ready to be there asking them, Keefy Quizality. How we doing today, buddy?
Visionary leader. I love that so much. You have no idea. That's great.
I do have a vision. My vision is to completely succeed by doing what no one else has done, thereby not failing no matter how terrible I am. That's my
Well,
vision.
that's something.
And welcome to another episode of the Glacial Musical Podcast. It is beer, metal, swearing, and vinyl. Thank you, Finger Fudgers, for joining us yet another week. If you are new here, if you are here for the series, if you are here for our new series, which is now old, on the early records of Mastodon, thank you. Here are the departments of the show. We do a beer check, vinyl check, news check, shirt check, meat. Did I get that right? Yeah, the meat of the episode. Again, or I guess for the first time this week, we are doing not vinyl. God damn it. We are doing Crack the Skye by Mastodon, everybody but me's favorite band. The Glacial Musical Beer of the Week is finally here. It is a beer I have been waiting for. Voltron Volume 6. Voltron, Defender of the Universe. He's fully formed. I mean, look at that. You can see him getting ready to kick some Roby's ass right here. He's ready to go. And when I bought this, I had a great conversation with the clerk. He's like, "Why is there no love for the vehicle Voltron?" So we had a 5-minute conversation about that in the middle of Schnucks. Actually, the two shows are not connected. And the Finger Fudge Pour, which is straight down the middle.
Similar to Ghostbusters and the real Ghostbusters.
No, that was the same franchise. These are two Japanese programs that they decided were going to have the same name, which was made up in South St. Louis City. Voltron is from St. Louis, 100%. They found a show called Go Lion and decided, you know what we could do? We'll just make up a story to go along with whatever the hell we're watching, and the kids will love it. And we did.
Well, isn't that something? Isn't that special?
I'm going to jam that story in every time I can because I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of what people who aren't me and have no connection to me did.
Fair enough. I don't have a beer check today. I have a liquid death.
Third or you're immersed.
Are you okay? You okay today, Nick?
I'm all right. I've been under a lot of stress lately that's been having something really in the back of my mind for about 2 months. And yesterday it was completely 100%, 1,000% resolved. So now it's the way I deal with stress is I do not worry until there is a time to worry. That's how I get through things. That is my personal coping mechanism. I don't know if it's a good one, but when it finally ends, it can be very stressful. So I'm stressed out. And the Blues are 2-2 after starting 2-0, and they look like ass again. So yay. Anyway,
You know who's undefeated is the New
the
York
Kansas City
Yankees.
Chiefs, I think.
The New York Yankees against the Cleveland Guardians.
Guardians is the worst possible name. I mean,
Well, the other name was very offensive, so it's good to not have that
no,
name
the
anymore.
name wasn't offensive. If they had just made the mascot somebody from New Delhi, it would have been great. That's what they should
Made
have
the,
done.
made the mascot not racist. That would have been helpful.
Oh yeah, that too. I mean, obviously not racist.
American sports teams love to do a racism. They really
I,
do.
I used to work with a girl who was full blood Navajo, and I asked her, I'm like, "What do you think about all of these indigenous names?" I didn't say indigenous, but I mean I would now. All these indigenous names, and she's like, "It's just white people talking about stuff they don't understand, and we laugh at you." I'm like, "Oh, what do you think about Native American versus Indian?" I don't care. Don't call me savage though. Whoa. Okay. Okay, Cheryl.
Whoa.
I'm not.
Uh, this is probably a bad time to reminisce about one of my favorite movies, Deep Cover with Lawrence Fishburne, where there's a
Is that
joke
the one
told.
where he becomes a drug dealer with Jeff
Yes,
Goldblum?
and he's a better drug dealer than he is a cop. And Jeff Goldblum utters my favorite Jeff Goldblum line of all time, which is "I want my cake and eat it too." But the better line in the movie is, "You're a very pretty woman. Are you part Navajo?" And she goes, "No, Your Honor, I'm a Chicago hoe." But anyway,
Oh,
Liquid Death. off the rails.
Cheers, Amtrak.
Cheers.
I've been holding on to this one for a couple of days now. Alrighty, so my vinyl check, I got a twofer this week. As of right now, Keefy has got to be nice to me forever. I've got Thin Lizzy's Jailbreak. This came in my Japanese package. It came from Japan, but it's not Japanese. This is actually a UK pressing. I was not paying very close attention. It is packaged in a Japanese vinyl sleeve, which has a little lid, and you can tell it's a little bit noisy. It is also in a... Wait a minute, what the hell? This isn't mylar. I need to fix this. It's been cleaned and played. I mean, I know it's fine, and I mean, look at that. That is... The Japanese keep, culturally speaking, just keep far better care of things than we do. So I have this one, and Keefy has yelled at me at least 38 times for having left that record on a shelf in front of me. I thought I was getting a Japanese one, but I am not necessarily great at reading the descriptions of things I'm buying online, so I did not. Now, the other record this week is Mosara, Only the Dead Know Our Secrets. This is a band that formed out of the ashes of one of my favorite sludge doom bands, Twin Giant. Just regular black vinyl. I got this on Discogs, and this is a great record. And I am a big fan of Nico Mixus, former podcast guest back when in the original days of the show, when he was originally doing the press for that one. He told me in that interview that he would not be doing a vinyl pressing of it unless someone else paid for it. Because, and I quote, I still have piles of Twin Giant records all over my house. I'm like, well, I bought some. But yeah, that is my vinyl check. I turn it over to you.
That is that's pretty good, man. Twin Giant as a band I should revisit. I have a 1-4 today and a pretty good record. Last few years, I don't know if you're familiar with M Theory Recordings. Do you know this label?
Yes, I do. Not super well, but I do know them. I've done some reviews. I probably got a couple of their records.
They put out their own stuff as well as represses, which is a specialty of theirs. They get the rights to stuff that is not on vinyl and put it on vinyl, including...
That's doing God's work right there.
I think it kind of is, including doing the debut album of, God forbid, not their best work, but Determination. It's a pretty gnarly pre-2000s, just about 2000 metal album, sort of modern thrash. It came, beautiful artwork. Should have always been on a vinyl because look at that really cool artwork. It's very distinctive and interesting. Oh, I dropped the thing already. Maybe inner sleeve with lyrics. Oh, and I think there was a download card I just dropped. Oh, it's not a sleeve. It's a pull-out, whatever this is. What is this?
Booklet.
Thanks.
I guess. I mean, I really don't know.
Doesn't feel like a booklet.
It looks like a CD. It looks like what you would have in the front of a CD.
Look at these handsome folks.
That's a lot of
four of these 5 folks are back.
Did that Omar cut this?
No, but Omar has drum teched for God Forbid. That's Corey, perhaps future guest on the podcast, Corey Pierce of God Forbid. Omar, that's him on the end there. Not Omar, but Corey. Omar, that's funny. Byron, the lead singer of God Forbid. There's literally, we did a metal festival where the whole weekend people thought Omar was Byron or LeJohn from Seven Dust, which Omar is neither of these guys.
So I didn't do a racism.
You did. LeJohn is about the size of a can of Coke, and Byron and Omar don't look anything alike, except for the dreadlocks. And anyhow, so yeah, booklet, and then in the mylar already. Look at this gorgeous. I don't know what you call this guy.
I would call that Sea Swirl. I've got one record at least that's that color, and I love that color.
Yeah, man, and it's really beautiful. Like there's a little texture, not texture, but like it's like really beautifully swirled. It's not just a generic ass swirl. They're probably all different. Again, what was I complaining about last week? Labels, right? This label has both sides information on one label, and then kind of like an artistic front cover image on the second label. I
No,
just would have
no, that
preferred
was me. That was me
A.
complaining about that. I went on a rant and you yelled at me.
I did. Oh, I thought I
You
agreed with
said
you.
sanctity of time.
Oh well, that was my time. You don't respect my time. That's an ongoing concern of the podcast. News check. What do you got?
I got a couple news checks this week. First one is Lawyer Wife and I went and saw K. Trevor Daly. Was that right? That doesn't sound right. Oh God, now I feel bad. K. Trevor Wilson. God damn it. Anyway, K. Trevor Wilson of Letterkenny at Helium Comedy Club. It's the first time I had ever been there. They do have a 2 drink minimum or 2 item minimum, but beers were only like $7, so not too bad. But I did spend an extra $18 per ticket to get reserved seats, and we ended up sitting at a table with other people that I did not know. But we got to sit next to each other. And it was also in a very small venue. So, like, literally, we were 15 feet from him. And this K. Trevor Wilson, of course, is Squirrely Dan from Letterkenny. It was a very fun show. It was kind of observational humor, a lot of butt jokes, but funny butt jokes and poop jokes, like really well done poop jokes for the aging the aging Gen Xers like myself. But what I found interesting about the show was he did not do any zero mentions of Letterkenny. That there was he did no routines from Letterkenny. He did not even mention the show. I thought that was interesting, and I thought that was a very bold choice, and it worked very well for him. Then there was another Canadian who was like a very aging Mitch Hedberg in a good way. So there was that. That's that. Of course, we all know the news about Jakey Lee at this point. Jakey Lee was shot several times while walking his dog in Las Vegas. As of last I heard, it appears to be random, so good luck. Disturbed is coming to town. Moving on to the next story. Disturbed is coming to town with Seven Dust and Other Kids and Daughtry. So, guess whose ass might be going to see Disturbed, Seven Dust, Other Kids, and
Yeah,
Daughtry?
the opening band, Nothing More, is better known for the singer driving over his ex-girlfriend with his 4x4 truck, his giant truck, like a monster truck,
I'm sorry,
drove over his
what?
girlfriend. Yeah, he drove over his girlfriend. She apparently was very abusive, but I don't think that's even reason to drive over another human
I
being.
don't know. I mean, that's
Um,
a tough
so
response.
we haven't been covering them for a while for that reason. Seven Dust, is in my heart, one of my favorite bands ever.
But
Um,
Lawyer Wife loves Daughtry,
Yeah, and
and
Disturbed will put on a good show. They're doing it's the 25th anniversary of their debut album, so it's
of
going to be a lot of ooh You're going to get a lot of that, and a lot of and a lot
yeah,
of
they're
get
they're new metal
yeah.
AC/DC. There's nothing wrong, and there's nothing
That
wrong with that.
is there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Their first two records are full of bangers. After that, I kind of fell off, and I obviously the Sound of Silence and the fiery piano that's going to be fun. So I think it'll be a good
Oh, that
show.
is David Draymond. Maybe he'll tell stories about his Tinder account.
He won't.
I know.
But anyway,
That's all I got for news this week.
that's fair. So
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
Jakey,
oh. Last thing. I'm sorry. The next time we speak, I will have seen Soul Asylum.
that's cool. Soul Sounds cool. I've been going to the movies a lot. So I saw Joker Folie à Deux, and I am the only person in the world that likes this movie.
I
Apparently, I
could tell
thought
you that movie was going to fail. The
what
if you make a movie for incels starring a woman, it's going to fail.
that's not fair. That's not fair at all.
It's a
So
joke,
because
though.
because in it is it's an attempt at a joke. It's not funny. Because incels co-opted something doesn't mean it belongs to them. Um, but
Maybe that
anywho,
was on purpose then.
well, what I'm going to tell you is because so two things. The first Joker movie made $1 billion unexpectedly, and they told that director, who is still the guy who made The Hangover 1, 2, and 3, and Road Trip and movies like that, they told him make whatever movie you want, and we'll put it out. And he did, and they saw it, and they still put it out. So he made a movie. It's not a movie for comic book fans. It's not a sequel to the movie he made. It's just another movie that has got the Joker character in it, and everything else is out the window. I love musicals, and the musical part of the movie was wonderful. And it's like literally a movie that reacts to the reaction of the first movie, which you should never do. And it's some crazy shit that they even put this in the theaters. And I would have rejected this movie and made him go back to the drawing board with it. I love the musical part of it, but like the rest of it is the problem for me. But other people were, I went, there was like maybe 10 people in the whole theater on the second week of the movie being out, and people walked
That's not
out.
good.
People walked out during the movie. Um, Terrifier, which is a series of horror movies that is not that popular, his like typically in terms of what you consider a blockbuster movie, outperformed Joker its first week against Joker's second week, and the drop off of Joker was so bad that Terrifier sold more tickets than Joker. I also saw The Substance. If you want to see the most scary, horrible, disturbing body horror film in a long time, it's not for the squeamish. Don't go if you're soft, but it was incredible. And it featured a movie. I'll spoil a little thing for you. In the closing credits, it had a song by Anna von Hasselwolf, who I do love. You should look her up if you like Chelsea Wolfe and artists like that. And then last night I saw Megalopolis, and I really wish I could get back the last. Much like how Nick feels about all of Mastodon's repertoire, I wish I could get the last 3 hours of my life back from last night, having seen Megalopolis. Beautiful looking movie. I don't understand what the fuck that was about, though.
That's not fair because I've listened to these Mastodon records twice each.
Well, anyway, see also me in about 5 weeks. Anyway,
Hey, oh, you know what? Since you did it, before we go to the shirt check, let us go ahead and announce the next series. The
why
next
not?
se- well, the next week, of course, will be a chaser. It has been a long time since we have done a vinyl only chaser. So we are gonna meander about, talk about how to care for your vinyl records, how to store them, and all that good stuff. Because you know what we do as we are growing, and we are now growing. The contest, or the, excuse me, the giveaway, the vinyl giveaway is really helping get our numbers up, and we've do some also as we get bigger. Thankfully, we've been lucky enough to always really be growing. As we grow, we like to come back to vinyl care episodes just to refresh because we talk about a lot of things. We talk about the inner sleeves, the outer sleeves, and all that stuff. So and the spin cleaner. So we want everybody to know what all of these words always mean. So we come back and we always, we just add to the vinyl thing. So we're doing that next week. And then after that, we're going to start a series that has been long in the making. A band Keefy is so apathetic about. He could not care less or more. In fact, he could neither care less nor more. He's along for the ride and he has to be. But he is being spared a little bit because starting on the next series, which is the international supergroup Foreigner. And we are being joined in every episode by Don De Lemont. How do you pronounce his name?
I like to say Don De Lemont.
I can't remember how Australian Siri says it when he messages me. Don De Lemon. Don De Mountain of Lemon. Don De Lemont. So, Don De Lemont, one of the coasts that's not the West Coast or the Midwest Coast, will be joining us for the entire series. And he is crazy excited about it. And I'm glad somebody is crazy excited to talk about Foreigner. Because it is neither one of us. I don't know who came up with this stupid idea.
You. Why would I would
What?
never come? I would never choose this band for a series. Like, of course you.
Doesn't sound like something I would have done. It's not like I have
Yeah,
these
it is.
records on vinyl.
You love this band. You've seen
I
them a
do
bunch of
not love.
times.
I love my wife. Anyway, so that's the next series on the
It's
next
a good
Chaser.
movie starring Chris Rock. I love my life.
I have not seen that. My shirt check this week, and then Keefy's got a shirt check, and I won't say anything during his shirt check. Is Led Zeppelin fake tour shirt from back in the day. I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. It is finally fall for real.
It's hoodie weather, buddy. Um,
Only if
it
you're a
was
sissy.
it was
I'm wearing my track jacket still.
it was 97 degrees here in San Francisco a week and a half ago. We're back down to the 60s. I'm wearing a very cool satanic shirt from Windhand. that I bought from the band on tour. We just skipped my news check entirely, and that's okay. I'll just skip right over it. I have nothing to say. Let's go right into the meat.
Wait, I thought
Mixing,
I
mixing.
thought your news check was the movies.
No, no,
No, hit no, do the damn news check.
no.
We are not.
Yeah,
No,
sure.
I'm no.
No.
You're doing it.
My
I
news
want to
check
hear
does.
it. I want to hear it.
I guess the two and a half pieces of news that I guess could have waited till next week. Ozzy is getting into the Hall of Fame this weekend. Remains to be seen if he's going to perform. I hope he doesn't, but he might.
Agreed.
I don't think he should try, but I want to
Agreed.
remember him. The last time I saw him, he was pretty good for an old guy, and I don't want to ruin that. I saw Kiss for 10 minutes 2 years ago, and I regretted it instantly, and don't want it again. Because of Ozzy's induction into the Hall of Fame, Zakk Wylde has pulled out of the last week of dates for the Experience Hendrix tour, which people are really mad because he's a big draw, even though people don't love him from that, like Hendrix fans don't love him. He's a human. His son is named for Jimi Hendrix. Like Zakk Wylde loves Jimi Hendrix. He can't stop doing the Zakk Wylde pinch harmonic hoedown over every song he plays. Pantera, his own music, Jimi Hendrix, doesn't matter.
The only time he doesn't do it is when he's with Ozzy.
Oh, of
Sometimes.
course he does. I mean, No More Tears.
Not for the first record. The first record, Ozzy told him not to, and he didn't do it.
Oh, really? I think he pretty much does that anyway, all the time.
It's all over. It's all over everything else, though.
Yeah. So I don't. Ozzy's band technically is rehearsing to be the backing band for all the musical artists of the Ozzy segment of the Hall of Fame. Do with that what you will. And again, a lot of people were upset. Like this was angering to a lot of people. Like, okay, definitely wasn't pre-planned. That I'm sure this Hall of Fame thing came together in the last little while in terms of this stage. But did he need to pull out of the tour? He's Zakk Wylde. Does he really need to rehearse to play Ozzy songs? He is technically the musical director of Ozzy's band. And when that band sound checks, Zakk sings the Ozzy songs. That's how Black Label Society started, because he would just do his own versions of Ozzy songs at sound check. And he's like, I sound pretty good. I should do my own band. That's how that began. And then shattering the internet this week, Sick New World announced their new lineup yesterday. This is the third edition of the festival in Las Vegas. It was meant to be a new metal-centric festival. First 2 years featured System of a Down as one of the headliners. They are not on it this year, although two System of a Down-related bands are. Metallica was previously announced as the headliner for this festival. It's going to be the first date of their 2025 tour. It's a one-off because it's a one-day festival. This is really a festival that should be 2 days. It's like 75 bands in one day on 4 stages. It's too many. It's a Warped Tour level of bands. The other worst kept secret in rock and roll is that Linkin Park would be the other headliner of this thing. Other bands appearing include Queens of the Stone Age, AFI, Evanescence, Ministry, 311, Sisters of Mercy, Gojira, Acid Bath reuniting for this festival. Acid Bath frontman Dax Riggs announced a new solo album this week and a new solo single. 3 Days Grace with two singers somehow. The Flaming Lips, oddly. Glassjaw, Cannibal Corpse, Meshuggah. Darren Malakian's Scars on Broadway. That's a System of a Down guy. Down.
Very good. The first record he did with Scars on Broadway is amazing.
Yeah, sounds like System of a Down. It's good. Melvins, Meshuggah, Tomahawk in their first show in 15 years. Cradle of Filth, Testament, Mastodon, Filter, Kitty again for the third year in a row, Carcass, The Hives, Under Oath, the punk band X on their farewell bunch of dates, Mayhem, Mudvayne, Exodus, Machine Head, Arch Enemy, Quicksand, Sponge, Deer and Gray. That's a band from Japan, in case you didn't know. Static X, Era, Stabbing Westwood, Death Clock, Orgy.
Stabbing Westward is still a thing.
They are still a thing. Like I said, their album from a few years ago was fucking phenomenal, and I'm hoping they're going to put out a new one soon. I'm a huge fan. I would love to do a Stabbing Westward series if you ever want to.
You would have
Uh,
to give up. You'd have to show your ass pretty hard on the series right before it.
hmm, sounds like a threat. Lacuna Coil, Orgy, The Birthday Massacre, Dope, Scowl, Show Me the Body, Napalm Death, 7 Hours After Violet, another System of a Down related band, and Vision Video, and probably a few others I left out. So it's a humongous lineup in the Vegas. I keep putting it earlier and earlier. I went the first year and it was in May and it was 100 degrees and no cloud cover the first weekend of May and it was brutal. Last year they moved it back to the end of April. Now it's the second weekend of April and just keep pushing it back until it's not a bloodbath of heat anymore.
That list of bands sounds a lot like the bands that put out albums in 2009.
Yeah, and it's not that new metal. And it feels like this amount of bands that are all kind of club and theater bands does feel like a little bit of a cash grab because you're jamming it all into one day, and it's as expensive for a 1 day ticket to this festival as the entire weekend of a Danny Wimmer festival. So like Aftershock that had Maiden and Priest and Pantera and Slipknot and like Seven Dust and all these bands. That was 4 days was like $350, and this is $400 for 1 day.
Nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
well, I
Nope.
mean,
Nope.
I might go anyway myself just because it's a big draw for me. And again, to see Acid Bath Down and
Where is it being
Tomahawk,
held?
the fairgrounds in Vegas, so outdoors next to Circus Circus, gross,
Oh,
really gross.
on the strip.
On the strip, they have a fairground there now.
I know that because I've been there.
Yeah, I have, I
I'm
have,
a
I've covered a show there.
I'm a Vegas veteran now that I know that there's a strip and a
Well,
downtown and they're not the
like
same.
shows outdoors in Vegas. The same thing. Like, why is a baseball team coming to Vegas? It's going to be brutal.
On the
Doesn't
strip.
make sense on the strip. Does not make sense. But
No.
it's there. It's going to be there. I think the first year, like I said, it was there was things about it I loved. It was too hot, and there were power outages on the stages that was brutal. And the bands basically play like most of the bands are going to play 20, 30 minutes. So if anything technical goes wrong with their set, that's it. I
Oh, so it's
remember
like Sounds of the Underground stuff. That's
a
no,
little bit,
no.
a little bit. And then there was only one giant merch place for the entire. There's like festival merch outside, and
Oh,
then inside there was only one merch place for all the
I
bands.
remember when you went to this because it was also when you went to the Metal Blade Museum.
I didn't do. I went to the little Metal Blade pop up. They didn't have the full museum
Okay,
yet.
that's what. Yeah,
I
yeah,
went to
yeah,
the
yeah.
punk, but I went to the punk rock museum. I went to the pinball museum.
Oh, the
I did
Pinball
not go to
Museum's
the.
great, by the
It's
way.
so good and it's dirt cheap and it's
Yeah,
amazing.
you
And they
know
have all the
when
rock and roll pinball machines.
we went there, we went there on my birthday. Lawyer wife was like, "Isn't it nice to go here and spend way less money putting money into machines?" Like, yeah, it's
Yes.
a nice break.
And I'm going to tell you one related last bit of news since we already had a Metallica news check moment. Metallica's remastering their Stern pinball machine, and that's getting a new version coming out soon.
Hmm, okay.
All right.
I'm
That's it.
I saw that I believe Kiss is doing the same thing, and I just don't care.
Yeah. If I ever have a house, maybe I'll get one.
And speaking
We
of
are.
Kiss's pinball machine, they
Oh,
have the
no.
original at the Pinball Museum in Las Vegas, and I played it.
Yeah, that was cool. All right. I would say of all those games that I played, I might have even reviewed this at the time. The worst one was the Aerosmith one. Weirdly, I expected it to be the best. It
AC/DC is
was
really good.
really good. Rushes is really good. Foo Fighters is really good.
I played Rushes once or twice.
Metallica's plays one. If you get to a certain level, I got it to do that, so that was fun.
I wouldn't know because every time I've played these things, it's been in a pinball hall, and it's too loud to hear whatever's going on.
That's absolutely fair. So we already did the shirt check. We did the news check. You know what time it is?
It is time for albums in this year, or am I setting up the year?
You can set up the. This is almost the. I was thinking about this today. This is. I don't know if we have done a more recent album than this album in a series before.
And this is 2009, March of
So
2009,
15 years ago, we haven't really done an album that's more recent than this, except for like 72 seasons
and Luck and Strange, of course.
and Luck and Strange. So yeah, this is the third most recent new album
Oh,
we've ever
yeah.
done.
And Animals 2018.
That doesn't count. Still
Okay,
animals.
fair enough. What about Dark Side of the Moon Live 72.
Stuck in 72. Like, it's not a new album.
It was
It's a
new to
new
us.
version.
It was new to us.
It's not new.
All right, well, here we are. So this comes out, as I said, in 2009. 2009, March of '09. So what is going on March 24th, 2009? I will just move forward and not wait for the guesses. We are still in the first 100 days of the Barack Obama administration. For the first time in American history, so far the only time, we had a president who was not a white male. And it's still so weird to think about that. So that is how long ago this was, and it feels like Obama was forever ago too. But moving forward, 2009, we are in the Great Recession. And I was in industrial sales at the time. I was selling steel, and I didn't make any money. I lost a lot of money in 2009, 2008 to 9 because the Great Recession was a huge, ginormous crash. We went from basically living high on the hog until the bubble burst in, I want to say September or October of '08, and then the world died. The Everything died. Gas went up. Gas was at $4 a gallon in 2008. So if you think about, $3.50 gas now, it's nothing compared to what it was back in $4. Actually, I saw $4.50 in St. Louis during the Great Recession. But the subprime lending had just popped. So 2009 was a really bad year. There was almost nothing good in that year. I got married that year. That is the year Lawyer Wife and I tied the knot in December of '09. But I guess that's just the way to look at this, is that 2009, the entire world was falling apart and we didn't know if we'd be able to put it back together again. As we always feel, but we put it back together again.
I was laid off from my job in finance while putting myself through grad school.
Ouch. I was selling steel pipe, and somehow I was able to squeeze out a reasonable living for a couple more years, and then I sold copper.
There's a joke in here somewhere about pipe, but I'm not going to make it.
Alrighty, so in 2009, we had a few bands that you may have heard of put out a couple of records. Gravedigger, whom I grew to love much later, put out Ballads of a Hangman. Creator, Hordes of Chaos. Saxon, Into the Labyrinth. These guys might have a future. Cattle Decapitation, The Harvest Floor. Sepultura puts out Alex, Napalm Death, Time Waits for No Slave. Buckethead, Slaughterhouse on the Prairie, which might be my favorite Buckethead title ever. Cannibal Corpse, Evisceration Plague. Wolves in the Throne Room, Malevolent Grain EP. Hammerfall, Danny Nichols' favorite band. No Sacrifice, No Victory. Rotting Christ, Non Serviam, a 20-year apocryphal story live. The Agonist, Lullabies for the Dormant Mind. Correct me if I'm wrong, but The Agonist is the French-Canadian band where Arch Enemy got their new vocalist from.
That is correct. That might have been their second or debut album, and Elisa White-Groose is the singer of that album.
All right, here we go.
Great job.
Lamb of God puts out Wrath. The aforementioned Arch Enemy puts out a greatest hits manifesto of Arch Enemy. Nightwish, made in Hong Kong and other various places live. Yngwie Malmsteen, Angels of Love. Kylesa, which we probably should do a run on, puts out Static Tensions. My Dying Bride, For Lies I Sire. Mastodon, Crack the Skye, obviously. Raven, Walk Through Fire. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Raven in the world, but I really respect the crap out of them for never stopping. They are the pop stars, man. They never stop stopping. Candlemass, Death Magic.
I'm so humble. Sorry, I can't help myself. Go ahead.
Queensryche, American Soldier. What else we got? Emperor, Live Inferno. A lot of live albums this year. That's kind of interesting. Moving on. Black Label Society, Greatest Hits. Chimera, The Infection. Powerwolf, Bible of the Beast. Heaven and Hell puts out The Devil You Know, and I can remember listening to that and thinking to myself, okay, it's a record. It's not that great. It's not that great. It's better than 13. Animals as Leaders puts out their debut. Buckethead puts out another record. I'm not going to read any more Buckethead off this list because there's probably plenty. Hatebreed drops a covers record for the Lions. Isis, Wavering Radiant.
I love ISIS so much, and that's their farewell album basically, and it hurts my heart a little bit that they're gone all this time. They were so good, and I would do an ISIS the band run anytime. You have to say ISIS the band, unfortunately, because then you set off all the bells and whistles when you say ISIS. Who knew their little innocent band name was going to get co-opted and ruined?
Everything is co-opted and ruined by terrible people. I'm now drinking a hazy beer hug by Goose Island. Sun O puts out, I believe, their first Monoliths in Dimensions. Marilyn Manson, The High End of Low. Devin Townsend, Key.
He is part of a quadrilogy of Devin Townsend's. It's like a suite of albums.
All right, yeah, that's not, wow, that's not pretentious at all. Ailstorm, Black Sails at Midnight. Tear puts out By the Light of the Northern Star. Many of the members of Tear go on to join and form Ghost. There's a lot of albums, but there's not a whole. Oh, Spinal Tap, Back from the Dead. I've never heard that.
I don't think that factoid about Tear is accurate, but I'll let you have it for now.
Some of them did. I interviewed one.
I think they founded Ghost. There's one founder of Ghost.
Okay.
Then he hired a bunch of other guys to play with him.
Became Ghost.
The two major ones who co-wrote music on the first two Ghost albums were Swedish. So maybe one of the Tear guys is in there, but like as a live guy. Did you interview Henry Jellison?
He did not tell me his name.
Okay.
Which was weird. It was an email interview. It wasn't I'm better. I like email interviews better than live because
that's fine.
It's just my thing. Although I only like live ones if I am in the same room with the person. I like it better now that we got Zoom, but it was before we had Zoom. Okay, moving on. Goat Whore drops Carving Out the Eyes of God. Okay, Spinal Tap already did that. Voivod, Infini. Oh, I forgot to say Black Dahlia Murder dropped a record this year too. Let me get that for you. It was a DVD, that's why I skipped it. Okay, that checks out. Okay, back to Death Clock, the Death Album 2. Asking Alexandria, Stand Up and Scream, and then Black Dahlia Murder releases a proper album, Deflorate, Dream Theater, Dying Fetus, Every Time I Die, Kitty in the Black, Living Color, Chair in the Doorway. Megadeth drops Endgame, which I think is a little mid, not as good as the previous. I think my personal favorite Megadeth records are Cryptic Writings and the one right before Endgame, which I can't remember the name of now. So, which just shows you how much I fucking love it. Ministry, Protest the Hero, Shadows Fall again, Retribution, Children of Bodom, Skeletons in the Closet, Five Finger Death Punch, War is the Answer, 3 Days Grace, more Buckethead. That's like the fourth Buckethead on this album. Arch Enemy drops another album, The Root of All Evil. Alice in Chains, Black Gives Way to Blue, which is a great comeback. I am not the biggest Alice in Chains fan in the world, although I am trying to fix that. But the new guy, who's not new anymore, whose name I can never remember,
William Duvall.
Thank you. I think he fits perfectly in the band.
Future podcast series lock, Alice in Chains. Maybe the second best comeback album of all time beside Back in Black from any band ever. You could also say fair. Heaven and Hell deserves to be on that list of short. We should definitely a podcast subject future.
I don't think it counts unless I think Back in Black and Blue Gives Way to Black. I think that's a different topic. I think that's when you've lost a member due to them passing on. I think that's a different topic than David Lee Roth is an asshole and he left the band.
Shall we discuss again the difference between laying down and choking in sports? This is Nick and Keith. This spilled over onto X and Twitter, and it was a whole thing.
Hatebreed drops their self-titled. Moving on. Power Man 5000. Okay. Kiss drops Sonic Boom, and they should have kept it. Baroness Blue record. Skeleton Witch breathing the fire. Rammstein, and I can't pronounce that because it's German.
Baroness Blue Record, former podcast episode.
Yes, previous podcast subject.
And it's a banger. It was
Yes,
it was the Decibel album of the year that year. Beside Crack the Sky, I think it was number 2.
Rob Halford drops Halford 3. Frankly, I don't need any of the Halford records.
Oh, the Christmas one, though.
No, thank you. Suffocation live in Quebec. Nile, For Whom the Gods Detest.
Good record.
Genitorturers drop Blackheart Revolution. I just wanted to say Genitorturers.
Yeah. I think that's post David
Duchovny or Gilmore?
Morbid Angel David, after he's out of there.
Wait, David Vincent was in Genitorturers?
I think he was for like a hot minute with the Genitorturers. So they were a couple for a minute, and they...
All right, fair enough. Rush drops Working Men, yet another live album. Obituary drops Live Execution, live album. Metallica drops One Night in France DVD. I've seen that. That was an amazing venue. Metallica also drops Orgullo, Pasión y Gloria, Tres Noches en la Ciudad de México. Pride, Passion, and Glory, 3 Nights in Mexico City. Should say Mexico DF, because as we discussed before. Carcass live album, which that's interesting. I did not know that existed. I need to look that up. Yngwie Malmsteen again. Knock it off, Yngwie. Puddle of Mud, Volume 4. Songs and Keys of Love and Hate. Halloween. Unarmed, Best of 25th Anniversary. Mudvayne, self-titled. And that's about all of it. I might have missed something here or there, but it was a pretty good year for music, I would say. Pretty good year for heavy music.
Yeah, I really wouldn't mind doing. I think I'm gonna start. We've tried to do this before. I'm gonna make a new shared doc for you and me, where we're gonna map out 2025, and maybe things will come up and we'll veer from that list. Nothing has to be a hard and fast rule, but I think what would be interesting and fun to do. I wouldn't mind I wouldn't mind doing a Kailisa run early in the year next year. Oh my goodness, we forgot arguably one of the most important pieces of news in Glacially musical podcast history. What did we forget to talk about, sir, before we go on?
My butt.
You're not going to eat your own butt this time. Dogma has gone back. The rights to Dogma have gone back to our Lord and Savior, the storyteller of all my Gen X dreams, Kevin Smith, is now in possession of Dogma. Dogma is going to come back into theaters, and it's going to be on demand and streaming everywhere very soon.
I've already got it, though, so I don't have as much excitement.
It doesn't matter. I'm super excited. I want everyone to see this thing.
I know. I've got. I mean, the problem is that, what's her name? My God, I can't remember names like I used to.
Linda Fiorentino?
Yes, Linda Fiorentino portrayed Bethany Sloan. Man, you said Sloan earlier today. We totally missed this. How did we have? We had a bit about Sloan, and anyway, I was actually going to use that as one of my news bits, and I totally forgot. She played Bethany not as powerful, but as whiny. And so it wasn't until like halfway through the shooting, Mosier was like, Kevin, you got to, say something. What with being the director of the picture?
Well, that's not his style. He likes to let the actors, he doesn't even see himself as a classic director. He writes the script and then lets the actors kind of take over and inhabit the roles. And he does not.
That's how he was at the time. Not so much now. Because he gives line.
He regretted that. He regretted all of this coming out. So there's I guess the director's commentary of Dogma. He kind of insults her acting really bad. It ruined her whole career for her. Like for her. She stopped acting pretty much after Dogma because she couldn't get any work. People, rumors got around that she was difficult. He felt bad about it. And it's unfair to her. And he apologized to her. It doesn't matter. She quit acting. And now she's retired from acting and she's 60-something years old with no acting. which kind of sucks. Maybe she'll come back to it someday, but doesn't seem like it. She's been out of acting for about the whole time Crack the Skye has been out.
After the scenes where they fixed that issue, her vision of Bethany, she got very good. Like when she was dealing with Jay, and all the scenes with Jay and Bob were amazing. Like, what about sex? No sex. Or the scene she had with Janine Garofalo, truly amazing, wonderful scenes. It was at the beginning. It was only the beginning scenes. Like most of the scenes with Rickman at the beginning when she was with Alan Rickman. If you look at her facial expressions, you can tell that she wasn't on the same page. Once she got on the same page, I thought she did a good job. But yeah, I mean, as nice as it is to talk about, Kevin does talk out of school.
He does. He is a bit of a shit talker. And I will tell you that the directors, in my opinion, I was briefly took a stab at acting. I wasn't very good, to be honest. I was better at music, even though I was not that good at music either. But I took a stab at acting for a while. I was in senior theater and community theater, and I auditioned for commercials and films, and I didn't get into many. My acting coach was actually Austin Pendleton, the actor, and Doc Hopper's assistant in the Muppet movie. Later to play like psycho,
Ah.
later to play psychos and serial killers on SVU and things like that, and Oz. So he was my acting coach as a teenager and a young adult. He's like, "You have so much potential. I want to bring it out of you. You could be the next." Da, 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 da. And I didn't. I was like, "Yeah, I don't think so, bro. I'm just a putz from the projects." So, but one of the things that he kind of instilled in me, and this is kind of something I do as an editor, like you want to let writers write, but you also have to guide them when they're wrong and off. And you have to critique not just of art, but critique of people interpreting art is as important as the art. Like not as important as the artist making the art, but it's the care you use. The love that you take is equal to the love you make, and you need to instill that into people. So what Kevin's responsibility should have been, if he wasn't getting out of her what he saw in the audition, it was his job to talk to her earlier, reshoot the stuff he wasn't happy with, and whatever it was, get her to reach that level that he saw when he auditioned her. Because again, when you cast somebody for a major motion picture, that's a huge leap of faith. And like
The
some people vibe with his style and some don't, obviously.
the problem was that Kevin did not find the love that you'll find, because the love that you'll find is the love that you'll never find, because it's the love that's not always able to be found. Saucipius, goddammit!
So Scipius Suleiman Jackson the Turd. And I mean that, the turd.
I love Zarcipius as a character. I mean, it's
I
just
almost
amazing.
wore my I almost wore my infectious grooves hat today, but I did.
Zarcipius just makes me happy. It just makes me happy. But also, Kevin's talking out of turn is what caused him and Ben Affleck to fall out.
So I think we are going to get a new Suicidal Tendencies, at least an EP or album next year, and probably an Infectious Grooves EP and tour. Um,
Texas Grooves tour?
yeah, they did a mini tour this year. You know that, right? They did like
No, I
seven,
didn't.
8. Yeah, they did. I saw them. They were great.
Well, I wish I would have saw
Um,
them.
yeah. So let's pick it up with Mastodon. You did the year, unless I don't know if you had anything else to set the table with here, but if you don't,
The important
similar,
thing to know is just that 2009, America's in a shithole.
it is in a shithole.
I mean, nobody's
Um,
feeling good about anything at this point.
that's actually completely fair. In February of 2009, in a second, I'm going to take us back in a time machine like I did last week. And we're going to go back to a particular incident that led to Crack the Skye. But before that, I was about to lose my job in corporate America, go into grad school, and I was working at Putnam Investments in Boston, Massachusetts. Did you know I lived in Boston? You probably did.
Did not, did not.
And I had some dough at that time. I had good credit and I had some money. I've been recovered, as we discussed in the 2006 breakup of both of our disillusions of both of our lives. I had recovered. I was working 2 jobs. I repaired my credit. I had money in the bank. I was living large. And there was a Scion, the car company, used to sponsor metal festivals. Do you remember this?
Say that again?
Scion, the car company, which I
Yeah.
believe is a sub brand of Toyota, right? Or
I
Hyundai.
don't even know what they were. I know they were a sub brand of something. Maybe Subaru, but based on the logo. Wait, they were sponsoring festivals?
Metal festival specifically, and
That's
probably some
weird.
other things.
That is
Yeah.
weird. I can tell you in 2006, in 2009, I didn't have any damn money to go to metal festivals, so.
Toyota has established the Scion brand in 2003. So let's see,
It's not still a thing, is it? It can't be.
Scion as a car or the
Yeah,
festival.
the car
I still see
and
them,
the
but like I
festival.
don't know.
I
So
still see Saturn sometimes too.
Scion Rockfest, just as an aside, Scion Rockfest was a heavy metal music festival held in various cities throughout the United States. The lineups included several genres such as death metal, grindcore, doom metal, metalcore, and experimental metal, and booked headliners that include Cannibal Corpse, Mastodon, Morbid Angel, Down, and Sleep. So they
That's
had
the
one,
best thing I've ever heard.
yes, and to sell cars, to sell these
Yeah,
Scion
to
cars,
sell just totally mid,
to
bland ass
to
sedans.
to no women, to men, bunch of sausages, to no
Yeah,
women at all, or no women and no they thems, all dull white men.
was that a car?
Anyway,
Or did you like play a sound effect?
that's outside my window. That's a car.
Thank you, San
Uh,
Francisco.
Festival locations included Atlanta, Georgia, Columbus, Ohio, Pomona, California, Tampa, and Memphis. So I went to the Scion Rock Festival in Atlanta, and the first one was in 2009, and I thought this lineup was so good that I had to go to this. Listen to this. Just listen to this lineup. The main stage opened with Kailessa, Torch, who is now broken up, Baroness, who was on Blue Album, Boris from Japan, Pig Destroyer, High on Fire, Neurosis, and Mastodon. And this is Mastodon right before Crack the Skye comes out. So Crack the Skye comes out a few weeks after this festival happens, February 28th, 2009. Inside the old Masquerade in Atlanta, Don would know all about this. Masquerade has 3 stages inside and outdoors. They did a big outdoor stage. Hell stage 1349. Knockmistium was boycotted and did not play because people thought they were Nazis. They weren't. Wolves in the Throne Room. Krallis, Withered, U.S. Christmas, great band, long missed. Salome and Apocalyptic Visions. On the Purgatory stage, Zoroaster, Coalesce, Tear, Wake with an R. Harvey Milk, A Storm of Light, great band. Ailstorm, Sudiacra, Gaylord, the band. That's not an epithet. And then on the Heaven stage inside at the Masquerade, Converge, Cryptopsy, Septic Flesh, Warbringer, Toxic Holocaust, Skeleton Witch, Trash Talk, and Evil Army. I spent most of my time between the Heaven stage and the outdoor stage.
How did this even happen? Was there like
And it
one dude
was,
that like could just convince all these Japanese dudes like, "Hey, I got an
oh,
idea."
you would have went to this one in 2010 in Columbus, and you could have drove there actually.
It's like, and
Listen,
he's just like, "Do you know how much Americans love death metal? It's one record sold 50,000 times."
listen to this though. So the main stage for 2010, Cannibal Corpse, Voivod, DRI, 3 Inches of Blood, Hate Eternal, and former vinyl check for me, Landmine Marathon. Wow,
Wait,
wow,
did you get
wow.
that from me?
No, I bought that myself. I love
Okay,
that
because
band.
I've got one or I sold one. I don't remember.
I think we have the same one. We talked about it. You looked it up on your Discogs while I was doing my vinyl check, interrupted my vinyl check, and then I got to finish my vinyl
I
check.
would not
Anyhow,
interrupt a vinyl check.
the next year they had Morbid Angel, Obituary, Agalloch, Flork, Feller Talk did not perform, and Black Cobra. And in 2012, the last year or the next to last year, they had Down, Sleep, Saint Vitus, Church of Misery, Witch Mountain, and Atlas Mob. Oh my gosh, these lineups are insanely good. Wow, they need to bring this back.
But okay, again, we're talking about the most extreme bands and the most underground bands to sell $30,000 items to only
Fair.
dudes. And again, there's no sports cars here. There are no sexy cars. There is nothing here. A Scion was all about getting you to work, getting you groceries, and getting 35 miles to the gallon while you did it. Which for me, that is very sexy because I drive an electric car. I mean, Keefy can tell you I drive an electric car. That is not a joke. I really do. Before that, I had a Prius. I mean, I think efficiency is sexy, but most people don't. Most people think, getting 3 miles to the gallon and going real fast is sexy and looking good. And none of these Scions look good. They just look like bland, boring cars. So the whole thing
Right
is
on.
just so weird to me.
That is completely fair and accurate. Before we jump into this album, there's an incident that happens to Mastodon that kind of shapes their entire future. And, we all have a crossroads moment in our life. Coincidentally, after making an album about the hero's journey, Mastodon goes on their own hero's journey of sorts. So, like I said, they were getting bigger and bigger. And, they are nominated and win awards. They go to the Grammys and they are nominated for Best Metal Performance. And they lose to Slayer for The Eyes of the Insane. I don't even remember the song. I guess it's on Christ Illusion. And I don't remember
No,
the
no,
song.
no. World Painted Blood.
I love that record, but yeah, it's
You love that record? You're the guy. You're like me
I'm the
now.
one. No, it's on Christ Illusion. I just looked it up on Wikipedia. It's
Live
definitely
version
Christ.
then? I mean, what was it?
It's the year after Christ Illusion came out. It's on
No,
Christ
Christ
Illusion.
Illusion. That's the reunion record. That was like '04.
No, what do you mean reunion record? They were never broken up. You mean with Dave?
Yeah, with
Like,
Dave.
I mean, those don't count as reunions. They just let him back in or not.
Okay, that was '06. Christ Illusion was '06.
So Slayer wins so you always win the Grammy the year after your album comes out. The season
This
after your album comes out.
this is '09 though. It came out in August.
I'm talking about 2007. Follow.
Sorry.
I said I'm going
sorry.
to take it back to Blood Mountain for a minute. Blood
I'm
Mountain
sorry.
comes
I'm mad
out.
today.
The band goes on their own hero's journey. They get nominated for a Grammy for Blood Mountain. They lose to Slayer for this song that I cannot recall because Christ Illusion is a mid album.
Not even.
And then they go to the MTV Video Music Awards. And they're like everywhere. They're the girl with the pearl. They're showing up everywhere. Commercial things, big things, yada yadas. And as you know, Brent, in addition to loving the jazz cabbage marijuana, he has had a propensity for getting super drunk and unruly. I have seen Mastodon countless times live, and there were definitely some periods in this era where Brent was too fucked up to play and performed horribly. And there was rumors after Crack the Skye comes out that they were going to kick him out of the band and replace him with John from Baroness, which would be interesting. I won't lie. But no. So Brent is at the MTV Video Music Awards and he gets into an altercation with System of a Down's Chavo and a rap guy named William Hudson. This was erroneously reported by a lot of press as William Duvall, who is a sweetheart and would never hurt a fly, by the way, even though he's a big, tall, strapping guy. So
Is
initially,
he a strapping young lad?
he was a strapping young lad. Initially, they said that Hines was jumped by a gang of dudes, but the hotel security footage says that eyewitness reports also confirm that he was drunk and he was basically like, he did like the wet towel, wet willy, pow. He turned a wet towel into a bullwhip. And he was whipping Chavo and William and annoying them and badgering them because he was drunk. And then William sucker punched him. And Brent fell to the ground and smacked his head on the concrete and went into a coma and cracked his skull.
Okay, real quick. Let me jump in. Okay, you say he sucker punches him, right?
This is how Brent tells it. He was sucker punched.
That's fine. And he goes down from behind and has a very serious injury. Did Todd Bertuzzi sucker punch Steve Moore?
Yes.
Even though he skated around the whole time saying, "I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this."
Okay. Goon's gonna goon. It's hockey, bro. But I don't think
it was a sucker punch. He said he was gonna. It's not a sucker. He said, "I'm gonna do it."
Yeah, but like, have you been bullied in your life? No bully threatens to fuck you up. They just fuck you up. Pussy threatens you. I shouldn't even say pussy. It's unfair to use that word as a pejorative.
That's offensive. I'm offended. You're gonna have to do 10 Hail Mary. Oh shit, now I'm offended. What with all the children?
Think of the children. Don't think of the children. Anyhow, may I reclaim my setup? So Brent, no charges were ever filed. Brent has brain hemorrhaging and a broken nose and two black eyes, because when you get a broken nose, both your eyes get blacked out. He goes to the hospital. He's in a coma for weeks. They were not sure
Holy
he was
shit.
ever going to come out of it. He might not have ever come out of it. He comes to, and he's definitely not who he was. He has you can tell any video of Brent Hines pre this injury, pre this, incident, and after. He's a different guy. He's got a different speech pattern. His face looks different. His head looks different. And, now he's just like, Brent, the crazy guy from Mastodon. But, like, he definitely underwent, like, a complete change as a person. And as soon as he could kind of, like, talk and get his motor functions back, which did not come back right away easily, he had to have, like, physical therapy and speech therapy. He asked for an acoustic guitar. And he started to write what would become Crack the Skye, and he was writing these songs that were like about his journey from maybe being dead in a coma to coming out of it again and what that looked like. So he started to write these very personal and interpersonal and personal stories. At the same time, the band was conceiving their next record. They did the Fire record, Loosely Remission. They did the Water record, Leviathan, about Moby Dick. They did the Earth record about Blood Mountain. There's only a few elements left.
Is one of them space?
You might say air, but actually, I think Crack the Skye is really about space and or the ether. But
I'm just going to say that your explanation of all of that makes the subject matter of this record make way more sense.
But wait, there's more. Remember, at the very first episode of this Mastodon, we talked about You're Gonna Love My Nuts, Slap Chop. We're going to talk about Bron Dollar's sister Skye, who committed suicide when she was 14. And so the Skye in Crack the Skye is also about Skye Dollar. And he's still trying to work this stuff out. And so he had started to write these songs about sort of a allegory to what happened to her and turn it into kind of a fantasy story that Mastodon could use as the springboard to this album. And so when they come together to put the record together, Brent has these songs that are very progressive rock, and some of them are a little more intricate and clean guitars, which we've heard across all the Mastodon records. They always have some folk Americana influence in there a little bit, but also some wild progressive rock stuff. They really threw out everything and started over from scratch. I do believe this is the record where Bron first takes away his favorite Scooby-Doo fill, the Scooby-Doo, the drum fill, the Flintstones drum fill that he loves. He takes it away, and they start making this record. And second record with the major label, Reprise, and they finally go outside for a producer. They did 3 records with Matt Bayless, and they do, they're based in Atlanta. So who do they go to? Brendan O'Brien. Nick, what is Brendan O'Brien famous for?
Home movies.
No.
Whoa,
What are you
no?
talking about? Brendan O'Brien is arguably the most successful record producer of all time beside Rick Rubin.
Well, who the hell am I thinking of from Home Movies?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Brendan O'Brien's resume includes Pearl Jam, AC/DC, Stone Temple Pilots, Soundgarden, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Bob Dylan, Rage Against the Machine, Bruce Springsteen, Korn.
Oh, that was Brendan Small I was thinking of.
Oh, God, bro. Way off. Come on.
Yeah, not even close.
Anyway, Brendan O'Brien.
Kansas.
Not Brendan O'Brien, not who you would imagine would produce a metal record from Mastodon, but an inspired choice. And I will get into
I'm looking through the selected. He did do Velvet Revolver.
He did.
The second record.
There was a period of time where he was doing like 3-4 records every year, and they were all top 10 records. He sold millions of records as a producer.
Yeah, he's done like everybody that you've heard of from 1988 going forward.
That's absolutely true. And his first big record as a lead producer was Shake Your Moneymaker by the Black Crowes. And ever since
I've
then,
heard that record. Who says I haven't?
Yeah, I didn't.
You've never heard that record?
I have.
Oh, okay.
It's all hits. It's all hits.
Yeah, serious.
So,
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan, but you can't argue it.
The band termed themselves as a little more. They love Blood Mountain, and it catapulted them, again toward Slayer, more Ozfest, Mayhem Fest. But they wanted to focus more and focus on songwriting and songs more, and not try to be like how wild and crazy a song can we make. Then Brent said he listened to nothing but once they established that it was another concept record and what the concept was, he listened to nothing but In the Court of the Crimson King every single day by King Crimson as inspiration while
What the
composing.
hell?
I love that. And then Troy and Bran listened to Nothing But Animals by Pink Floyd, which makes complete sense if you think about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, you've got pretty progressive on one side, and you've got angry progressive on one side, and yeah, that makes sense how this happened. Totally get
So
that.
just like last week, I'm going to give you the concept of the record. It's not going to go. It's not as wild and detailed and nutty as
It's
Blood
not
Mountain.
wild, yes. Detailed, no. Nutty, I'm gonna go yes.
It's not as weird, but it's definitely woolly. How's that?
And women do get woolly.
Here's the here's the synopsis of Crack the Sky, which again is about these twin things, about a journey that somebody goes through, and also about mourning the loss of Bran's sister that died, unalived herself. So, a paralyzed and very smart young boy is cared for by his family, who teach him all about things. He's got nothing but time and can't, he's quadriplegic, so he can't do much. But he's intellectually curious, and his family reads to him all the time, and they teach him a lot about history. And as a way to kind of escape his current life, he starts experimenting with astral projection and travel.
I was gonna say he's like Billy from Radio Chaos, but he like really leveled up rather than just talking through a phone.
Yes. So when you astral project yourself, you are actually in this world, you are connected by a golden umbilical cord to your physical body. And this golden, ephemeral, ethereal umbilical cord tethers you back to the real world so you can get home. But you can travel through space and time, which our hero, none not named, learns how to do. Unfortunately, being a novice, he flies too close to the cosmos to the sun, and his cord incinerates, and
Straight up Icarus.
he's lost in space, just like Icarus, and he goes into the cosmos, and he's definitely going to get evaporated and lost forever. Uh, and the album artwork, especially on the extended and deluxe editions of this album, literally like caveman drawings, show you the story. Again, Paul Romano, once again with the artwork of Mastodon. So he flies through the universe, and he gets sucked into a black hole to a parallel universe with the souls of billions of people that have already died. But they tell him, listen, you're not dead, you're just lost. And at the same time, in Tsarist Russia, a cult that worships Rasputin, still alive at this point in the history timeline,
Completely not wild and nutty. I mean, completely just normal.
finds the spirit of the boy and communes with him and says, hey, listen, we're going to bring you back. And what he does is they summon the boy's spirit into the body of Rasputin. At the same time, Rasputin has this knowledge that this boy's spirit has also come into his body. So maybe he's acting a little strange, but he definitely understands what's happening.
I have a
And
question when you're done.
okay, hold all questions to the end. And then so Rasputin, the cult tells Rasputin, hey, listen, if you're feeling a little off, it's because the spirit of this boy, we basically found him adrift in the cosmos, and we summoned him back to our time and put him into you. Is that okay? Is that cool? Sure, very cool. So the Tsarina tells Rasputin, hey, listen, they're gonna kill you. But the cult tells Rasputin, listen, they're gonna kill you, they're gonna try to kill you, you have to let them, so the boy can find his way home. You have to die. So this boy, who's crucial to the history of the world and the fate of the world, you have to let him, so they can help guide him back to his physical body someday. You have to let them kill you. And you know the story where Rasputin, they tried to kill him over a series of days. They poisoned him, stabbed him, stuck like ice picks in his nuts, chopped his wiener off. They did all this stuff to him, and he still would not die. And then finally, he was like, "I'm out. I'm dying." And then the boy goes back into the cosmos, and but at the same time, Rasputin's spirit and his spirit are also contested by the devil, who wants their souls. So Rasputin, who was previously homies with the devil, has to like fight the devil to protect the boy, and that is the sort of the summary of the final track, which we'll get to in a second. and then the boy kind of finds his way home. But it's a wild journey. Again, I don't know what drugs these guys are on, but I really want some of them.
Okay, here's my question.
Go
Do
ahead.
you know roughly the story of Vermis Mysterious by High on Fire?
It's similar. Yeah.
It is the difference is it's Jesus Christ's conjoined twin who dies in the womb, who then goes on a Sam Beckett style journey. Similar concepts.
I always thought of that album as like Midnight Run with De Niro and what's his face, that the comedian. Now I can't remember
God,
who's the co-star of Midnight Run. This is
I'm, I'm
bothering
not
me now.
clickety clacking. I'm definitely not clickety clacking. Uh, I was right. Yeah, Charles Grodin.
Charles Grodin, who you
I
don't,
was going to say
I don't,
Charles Grodin, then you said
I,
comedian. He's not a
is he
comedian.
still? I mean, he kind of was. Is he still alive? Because I don't hear anything from him anymore.
Oh, Dennis Farina was in that.
Yaphet Kotto was also in that, and Joey Pants.
Man, okay, you know what? I kind of need to watch this now.
Oh, he died. That's Charles Grodin died in May 2021. Damn it.
I mean, he was like 700. I mean,
Uh, American actor, comedian, author, television talk show host, known for his deadpan delivery and put upon straight man. Comedian, bro. Comedian.
he died at 86. Good for him. Okay, moving
Yeah.
on. Back to Mastodon.
So now that we have the entire story of Crack This Guy, let's do the track by track.
Which is
And
not crazy. Definitely not crazy. I mean,
definitely not a crazy story. And then somehow again it relates to the Skye is spelled Skye for
yeah.
Skye.
Whoa, did
album-
Zool just come out of your damn fridge? I heard. What the hell is that?
A lot of tiny penis people in San Francisco, and probably a lot of large penis people in San Francisco, but the tiny penis guys rev their motorcycles all the time. It's an
I
addiction.
swear to God, that sounded like Zool coming out of your refrigerator.
Okay. Do you know the band?
Great.
Do you know the band Cephalic Carnage?
I do not.
They have a song called PGARD, which is the acronym for Persistent Genital Addiction Manipulation Disease. You already know what that means.
All right, we are.
If you shake it more than if you shake it once, you're shaking it off. If you shake it 3 times, it's a little excessive. If you can't stop shaking it all day, every day, you have a medical condition and you need to seek professional help.
Can you get disability for that?
I think so. So the album opens with Oblivion, written by Bran, Troy, and Brent. And I haven't talked enough about Brent or Bill on here. This is a progressive metal epic song, and I mentioned about Mastodon opening tracks and opening lines of opening tracks. And I'm like, this is the first record where Bran kind of took over the concept, even though he initiated the concept of the last 2. He wrote most of the lyrics on this album, although Brent wrote quite a bit, as did Troy. And he sang lead a lot on this album. We're going to talk about the vocals on this album and why it sends it over the top for me. The first line of the first song of this album is, "I flew beyond the sun before it was time." It's mind-blowing. Like, literally tells you the whole story in a second. It's unbelievably well done. Oblivion is great. It was a single. There's a music video for it, which features the band as astronauts who also get disconnected.
Singles.
Yes, singles. And there should have been a third or a fourth. And there's let's say a 3-headed vocal attack on Oblivion where they kind of layer sort of not quite call and response like the second track, but on the first track they kind of answer each other and overlap each other. And Brent sings the chorus, which he had written kind of about himself. And Brent's got, again, rocking at, sometimes he's got that chaotic, whiny stoner rocks voice, and sometimes he's a screamy metal guy, not so much on this record. And a lot of times he's doing this crooning thing that's wonderful. So
yeah, the vocals on this record were vastly different.
They're vastly different, and they're vastly better, but they're also, we'll talk about it in a second. I love this song. Song's a fantastic opener. It's a bit long. It's a bit longy, but it's already from the first song, it's absolutely sets itself apart from all their prior work. Like, oh, what is this? This is a whole new Mastodon almost. Thoughts?
Not a bad song. I really enjoyed this one. It really threw me off because the vocals are so different. And even when I listened to this the second time today, I was kind of wondering, am I listening to the right record? It's that different, and I think that's the highest compliment I can give a band. Where I've listened to Mastodon now for 4 weeks, and when I get to this record, it's like, is this even the same dudes? That's amazing.
I will tell you that this the same dudes. This album kind of shapes the rest of their career. How could it not? When you level up like this, you're going to continue to do stuff like this. Maybe not exactly one for one, but yeah. And again, the vocal prowess is where they grew the most, I think, on this album. But they definitely tried to challenge themselves. I think Brendan got them to challenge themselves. Like I said, Braun starts making it hard. He takes away his favorite drum fill, so he plays differently. Bill and Brent do different stuff on guitar on this record than they do other places. Troy is singing at a level that is ridiculous for a metal singer to do. Second track is Divinations. Again, it has to do with the summoning and the priests and the cults, written by Brent and Troy. Distinct surf guitar influence, like literally Miserlou and Dick Dale, but also it's a metal song without metal guitar crunch in it. So like if you just made it like a heavier guitar sound, it would be too muddy. So it's kind of like a fast progressive rock song with a country rock influence. It's weird. Great call and response vocals, right? So there's like Troy kicks it off with the verse and he screams a little. Then Brent comes in and he's got his voice, and then Braun sings the chorus as a response to the two verses. Really good song making. It's a shorty. It's only 3:38. Feels like it goes by pretty quick. And there's a phenomenal lead guitar solo by Brent Hines in this that is just stratospherically great. Thoughts?
Not a whole lot to add there. I mean, right now, this is my favorite Mastodon record. Right now, for sure, definitely.
I knew it. I knew it. He's still not going to love the band, but he's going to like this record. I knew it. I said you would love this record. I know you don't love it, but you like it. Anyway, because their songs feel more like, let's be honest, like, okay, 2 songs in, they feel more like an actual song as opposed
Yeah,
to
they have
like
they have
a
had
mishmash
way
of
too
ideas.
much ADHD going for in the first 2 records. They're like bucket. Okay, I know I said I'd stop saying this, but they're Buckethead records without the charm of Buckethead. Because nobody, I mean, Buckethead, I don't know why he has it, but he earned it. So when you come in and you're like 88 you're going 88 directions at once. It sounds so samey because it never sounds the same. I said what I said.
Sorry. So let's talk about the next track, the quintessence. I was trying to get the quintessence has many meanings. It's sometimes a wine. It comes from the Bible. It means like an essential principle of anything. So in this case, it could have many meanings. This is a song by Brent and Troy, and I call this oddball music for people with no friends, but really it's just a stoner doom, a heavy stoner doom song, and more like Blood Mountain than any other track on this record, except maybe the next to last track in terms of heaviness.
This is not a song I need very much. This shark talks for me.
Okay. We can do Shark versus Madball today. Here's the Anthrax Madball.
Really? Who do you think's gonna win?
I think, look at this guy. Oh, this Madball is crazy.
This is the apex predator. You throw a lion in the water, he gonna eat it.
I mean, next to the T-Rex, though. Okay.
T-Rex did. He did. I tell you, he did.
I guess Nick doesn't have anything to add to Quintessence as a analysis, so we'll just move along to the next song. So the suite that comprises the almost 11-minute long track, The Tsar, is next. And The Tsar is about Rasputin, the Tsarina, the plot to kill Rasputin, maybe the oncoming revolution. Like, this is insane.
What was the name of the Tsar?
I think it's technically Tsar Nicholas, and Rasputin was stooping the Tsarina. Was it Catherine?
I don't know that much about the. Damn it! What was the house name? Oh crap!
So the Tsar is made up of these 4 points: usurper, escape, martyr, and spiral. It's got a very eerie almost no quarter by Led Zeppelin spookiness to it. Great progressive doom and stoner metal riffs and parts to it. And then there's just like some,
Romanoff.
thank you, the Romanoff line. Is that
It's
it?
the Romanoff dynasty.
And then yeah, like there's like some wild progressive rock, Pink Floyd, King Crimson, ELP stuff on here, like vocally and melodically, that I really do like. And this is one of the better tracks. And I think this, you couldn't make this a single, but I think this is one of the things that stands out. They do, it's hard to take this record out of context. They do still play Oblivion live and a few other things, but like
You
this
could
is a
have made
track
this a
that
single if they pulled a 2112 on it. That's the
maybe
only way.
Martyr is only 35 seconds. So basically the most of the first two parts and the third part are your Shine On You Crazy Diamonds part 7, 8, 9. Good track though. And obviously great lyrics, and like a lot of the storytelling of this is in these middle three songs are the heart of the album, really.
This is definitely a much more Pink Floydy record in the era where Pink Floyd, post-commercial Pink Floyd, when they're, because like, Pink Floyd starts off with crazy pop, and then they go off into abject weirdness, completely rejecting commercialism. Then they hit it big, and then they reject commercialism again with Wish You Were Here and Animals, right? So here we have them trying to reject commercialism, same way Rush did with 2112. Actually, that's a very prescient reference I made, although I was just making a joke. It just turned out it just worked that way. Rush goes in and meets with their record label, and they say, okay, guys, look, bro, buddies, hey, I know you love hockey. I know Neil skates on his ankles, but it's fine. I know you're Canadian. I know you love Molson. But knock it off with these long songs. You got to give us a single. And they said, oh, yeah, totally, eh? We're going to go to the studio. And what do they bring back? A 30-minute song called 2112. And they go, here you go. It's exactly what you asked for, eh? It was not. And then they became famous.
It's very interesting that Rush could have went either way. They were a very bad replica of Led Zeppelin, a very bad form.
Oh yeah, they were terrible, terrible Canadian Led Zeppelin. If you listen to those first couple records, it's like, okay, yeah, you needed Neil Peart to actually write about something.
Well, the talent is there. I don't love Neil Peart's lyrics. I'm going to tell you, I don't think he's.
I like the one about the unionizing trees.
I think co-opting Ayn Rand and libertarianism is a shitty fucking way to go. But anyway, I love Rush.
I choose to believe that he didn't know what he was doing.
He absolutely 100% knew what he was doing.
I choose to believe he did not.
Yeah, okay.
That way I can enjoy it more.
The Czar is a great track. Moving on to what I think should have been the third single of the album, Ghost of Karelia. Again, a Russian reference, right? A great stoner rock track with a great progressive metal ending. Another
that's a really good thing you said there. Stoner rock. This is the first record. We're on record 4 of Mastodon. And this is the first time they were never even stoner rock adjacent before. Even though they're really hot. I think they were progressive extreme metal all the time. It's not stoner metal. And here on this album, they have simplified their approach. They're not doing drop passes. They're doing straight lines, north and south. And they're actually making really good songs.
I like the hockey references. I think Blood Mountain has a lot of stoner metal on it. We just listened to it a lot.
I don't think so. It's closer. It's sludge. Which I guess sludge is stoner adjacent.
Well, the sludge is coming in a second. The real sludge is coming in a second.
I know.
So no, it's fine. I do like Ghost of Karelia. It's a great song. The next song is the title track. Now we have heard, like all great concept records, we've heard references, and actually there, like I mentioned last week, there were references lyrically on this record that are from things from Blood Mountain and Leviathan, like subtle things. Very similar to, like, I don't know if you what is the there's Nobody Home on the Wall, has the sample of animals on it. You know that, right? Like there's a
I did not actually.
So there's a little sample 3/4 of the way through. There's nobody home, got a little black book with my poems in. So that song, which is heartbreaking, right? one of the finest moments on the wall. Very underrated. No one ever talks about it. The best moments on the wall are not the hits, by the way.
That is correct.
Hey You is my favorite song on the wall, I
Really,
think.
mine is the one that got dropped. Um, I can't remember the name of it now.
My proudest moment in my Pink Floyd cover band, Pigs on the Wing, was playing the bass solo to Hey You, because I found out David Gilmour wrote it and not Roger. Anyhow, um, where was I? So there's little references, and so like there's a drag down by the stone. And you go back and listen to The Wall on your vinyl, and pump up the volume on Nobody's Home. There's nobody home. You'll hear a little sample of that stone from Animals. Go back and check it out. See if you notice it. We'll talk about it.
I'm still trying to figure out what the hell that song is that I really, really loved. Oh, What Shall We Do Now?
Oh, that's a great song. Oh my God, I
I
love that
actually
song.
like for when Is There Anybody Out There came out? I knew that song, but that was one of the bonus songs, and like for years,
Is
I
that
thought
on
I
the
was.
live record that hasn't come out that you want? Is that
Hear
on
me out.
there?
Yeah, it was on CD. It was on that. But for years, I thought I was living in the Matrix. Like I didn't know why I knew that song because it was never released. So I thought the first copy of The Wall I received on CD was Roger live in Berlin, and it's on that.
And he loves that song. Yeah.
It's a good
All
song.
right.
I think it's better than the one that they. I think it's better than Empty Spaces, which they kicked off. What shall we do now for Empty Spaces because they thought they were too similar.
Absolutely fair enough. So there are references to Crack the Sky throughout the Crack the Sky album, not just the Crack the Sky song. And the Crack the Sky song starts off with this very interesting, dramatic, almost classical guitar motif, and then it turns into this brutal sludge after like a minute and change. And it opens up with frequent guest Scott Kelly of Neurosis singing basically lead on the track. He opens the verses with this brutal, this is literally a song with a double meaning, one about the going through wormholes in space and getting your soul back to your body after having your golden umbilical cord burned off, but also about,
As you do.
as you do, also about Braun's sister. And so Crack the Sky. And then Braun made a comment, which he, by the way, has come out in recent years and said that he regrets all talking as much about her and about this. He wish he had said nothing and just let people figure it out. Or maybe they knew from previous interviews that he had a sister that died, but he actually was like, it became the only topic of interviews for like years. It became the only thing written about in that. And I think their PR team probably leaned into it very heavily as a story because, it's compelling. So Crack the Sky's brutal song, and has three great vocal parts, actually, from Bran and Troy also. Like Bran, Troy, and this like really epic climbing vocalese by Bran. He really comes into his own as a lead singer and is now basically the lead singer of Mastodon for all their modern material the last 10 years. It's pretty heavy. I gotta say that. Like it's the heaviest thing they've done on here since Leviathan.
I've been meaning to say it's weird how you say Mastodon and Leviathan the same way
Sorry.
because Leviathan is not a thing.
Okay.
A's and O's have different sounds. That's
I'm
why they're
I'm from New York, and that's how we talk. And I've been watching nothing but Sopranos. What do you want, buddy?
okay. So you should be saying Sopranos.
Sopranos. I did coin a new musical genre or subgenre on my podcast the other day that's coming out tonight, and I was like, Sopranos core. Hear me out. How
Hmm.
awesome would Sopranos hardcore band be? Sopranos themed hardcore band.
You know what I'm in. I've already look. One, I play guitar good enough to be in any hardcore band. Two, I've already got the track jackets. Three, I'll eat the gabagool. I'm ready.
Well, you know
I'll
what
get
I've
fat
learned
for
by
it. I'm
by
ready.
this late my third or fourth, whatever this is, Sopranos full rewatch. I think it's the salty meats that send Tony into a fainting spell. I think they bring on his anxiety and faints. Gives him
Interesting.
the. I think like every time he passes out, is either thinking about his mother when his cousin's gonna get killed, or when he eats a gabagool or some other spicy meat. Some cured meats is what's killing him. High blood pressure, probably. I'm guessing. from the sodium content of those cold cuts.
What
So
I
Crack the Sky.
really, what I really love about The Sopranos is David Chase will not say what any of it is. He goes
Yeah, never.
straight up William Faulkner on it. Hey, it's there. You figure it out. I love that.
I put everything in the show. You see what you see. So thoughts on Crack the Sky? Not sure if you have any
No,
extra.
great song. I mean, again, this album is so different than what I expected. It's so different and so exactly like what I expected, if that makes any sense. And I think that
Sure.
is a great change up because it's not a curveball. It's a straight ball, but it's not what you're expecting.
It's a sinker. It rolls off the
No,
table.
it's literally a change up. You're expecting
Okay.
95, you get 75. See? Come on, man. I
All
know
right
baseball.
there. Pascual
Fuck them
Perez.
Yankees.
Yankees are taking the series, bro. Get ready. I am
I
gonna
have
gloat
no
like
strong
crazy.
I have no strong
Yeah,
feelings.
you know when the Yankees won the World Series last 2009, the
You know
year
when the
this
Cardinals won
record
the
came
World
out.
Series last? 2011.
Who cares? No
I
one
do.
cares about it.
I
No
kinda
one
care.
cares.
People care.
I'd like to go to a game in that park, but I don't
Oh,
have
you
any other
should go
strong
to.
feelings.
It's very pretentious. It does say "Welcome to Baseball Heaven," which I just want to piss on.
What?
Yeah, it says that.
Listen, I hate to break it to you, especially because of the rivalry. You know what baseball heaven really is, especially that the old Yankee Stadium is dead.
Hmm.
Wrigley. Sorry,
Oh.
not sorry.
But you know what it also says?
Fenway is also
The home of
glorious.
the. It also says the home of the best fans in baseball.
That may be true.
And you know what seems so awful? No, it is not. Do not, no. Do not support these people that say this bullshit.
All right.
It's irritating and pretentious.
All right. Last track of the album, so we can get through this since we started early. The Last Baron, which is not about Snoopy and his sop with Camel, but it is in fact about
Have that on
the
vinyl.
it is about the protagonist getting his way back to his body through reverse astral projecting and guiding by a satanic cult of Rasputinists. Um, what kind of music would you even describe this? Progressive metal, progressive rock?
How am I
It's
supposed to respond to a satanic cult of Rasputinists? I mean, I have never even heard the word Rasputinists. I mean, you can't just
I
throw
made it
these.
up just now. I
You
just made
can't
it
throw
up.
out this weird curveball crap and be like, "Well, what do you think?" I don't know. I'm focused on this now new word that I'm gonna make a thing.
So
Just for the
here's
record,
here.
Old Rasputin by I think Old Bay Brewing Company is delightful. It's a 10% imperial stout.
You've had it on the show before. I know.
Have I? Oh, okay.
Um,
That's up.
and as you know, Typo Negative were huge fans of Rasputin. He was on the face of one of their album covers. They had merch with him on it.
Yeah, and also Peter Steele's butthole. Um,
And Schlong. So on my notes for this song, it says progressive metal, maybe Dream Theater or Coheed and Cambria or Tool. All those things apply to this song. A
you
lot
know
of
what?
drums.
It's like Coheed and Tool with a little bit of with shred, because this song has like my favorite. When you get to about the 11-minute mark, and they act like they've forgotten you. They have forgotten you're listening. One of them, I don't know who it is,
Yeah, it's
just
Brent.
just whips into this solo, this like total like the classic metal solo that like Kirk Hammett has done a million times before he got really good. And I love Kirk Hammett. Everybody knows how much
None
I
of
love
that's
Kirk
unfair.
Hammett.
None of that's unfair. Not unfair.
But it's like but except like a third of the speed that Kirk Hammett did it at.
I yeah,
And it
I
goes
like
on for
that you
like
did.
hours. It's great.
I I like that you didn't complain how long this song is at 13 minutes.
I love long songs. What are you talking about?
Well,
I
you
like
just
Pink
complained
Floyd.
earlier. You said earlier, stop doing the long songs. At the
Not
10-minute
today,
song,
maybe last week.
literally like 10 minutes ago. Okay.
Don't think that happened.
But my favorite part of this, there's absolutely a musical reference to ELP here, where they do. I don't. Do you know the song Tarkus
The
by
solo.
ELP?
Oh my God, that solo is from Frankenstein.
That is also the solo is yes, that's
That
correct.
it's a complete extrapolation from Frankenstein, which is now the greatest thing I have ever come up with on this show. I might be done. Sorry, Don.
Yeah, your Wi-Fi has been kind of ass today, by the way. You've been
What?
coming in and
Really?
out. Yeah, a little bit. Not
I
too
don't
bad,
think so.
but all right, here and there, you'll
All right.
hear it back.
All right.
Maybe in the
You know
week.
what? I enjoyed The Last Baron, and I'm gonna start summing up because I tried to go earlier so we'd shut up sooner, and it just did not work. Did not work. We need to do something we don't like as much, or one of us doesn't like as much, and one of us isn't convincing the other one to
Well,
like it.
the next series is going to go a lot faster every
It's
episode. I have a
Foreigner.
feeling.
Yeah, that is true. So, everybody, thank you very much for sticking with us as we have gotten our verbosity into a suppository up the butthole. Take that however you want. It's not weird.
Sure.
It's not weird. It's totally not weird. But this. Sorry. I bumped a chord. I apologize. This record is by far the best record in this series. Do I like it? Kinda. Am I gonna buy it? No. Am I gonna go to the library and steal it? Still no. I guess. I just don't. I love their energy. I love they're trying so hard, but what they're doing just doesn't really appeal to me. I don't hate it. I wouldn't. If somebody says, "Hey, I got this Mastodon record. Do you want to hear it?" I'd say, "No, but you can put it on,"
Spoiler
which
alert!
is a vast improvement than where I was 5 weeks ago. If somebody had come to my house with a Mastodon record 5 weeks ago, I'd have kicked him in the fucking junk.
I'm
Get out of
definitely
my
coming to
house.
the house with all the Mastodon records. Spoiler alert: in about a year's time, we're going to do the next 4 Mastodon records. I promise you.
Spoiler alert, double murder suicide.
That might happen anyway. I don't know. Shit's going sideways in my life. I'm going to say a couple of things. Ghost Cult did not exist in 2009. So I was writing for Metal Army America at this time. I was the editor of Metal
I
Army
was
America.
writing about slingers and fish fries.
I'm deeply jealous. Slinger, I would love one right now.
Me too. I'm trying to convince my family to go with me to the Buttery restaurant, which may have been a Waffle House in a past life.
Ooh, Waffle House. Apparently, there's such a thing as the Waffle House Index, like a natural disaster in the South is
Which
judged
is
by it.
hysterical.
Is the Waffle House opened or not? If it's closed, it's really bad in that community.
If
And the
Waffle
FEMA
House is closed, get out. Get out.
No, if the Waffle House is closed, go there and save people and fix the
Oh.
community the most because they can't even keep a Waffle House open. At the time, writing for Ghost Cult, I called this the wall or the dark side of the moon of the modern era. And you know what? I listen to this record easily every week. I listen to this record every month, all the way through at least once, if not many times. This factors into all my playlists. I love this record. This is my North Star Mastodon record.
This is not Ace Frehley Trouble Walking that needs to be listened to 5 times a week. Sir.
No, it needs to be listened to constantly. And so I love this record. This is a 10 of 10 for me, bar none. Probably one of the most flawless records of the modern age, in my opinion, along with The Blackening by Machine Head. And
you know what? I will give you. This is a flawless record. The issue is, I mean, you can paint a great painting that's flawless, but it doesn't mean I like it. And that's why.
All right. One of us understood the assignment. I appreciate Nick for humoring me with this series. He did not want to do this series at all. And I had to beg and cajole. I will never do Lulu, but Nick did this. And so he is a better human being than I am by far. That being said, if you have listened this far, you are a real one, and I greatly appreciate you. One last thing. If you enjoy this album, 2 things that will greatly enhance your love of this album. Go get either a Mastodon vinyl. The remaster is out now. Came out 2 weeks ago for the 15th anniversary with all kinds of goodies in it. There is a behind-the-scenes documentary that Metal Army had the exclusive on. It was not online anywhere except Metal Army's YouTube. And I got to promote that and premiere that back 15 years ago. Now it is available on Mastodon's channels, as well as on the DVD portion of their new record. And then if you go on Vivo, the YouTube alternative owned by YouTube, because
there's a Vivo channel now?
I mean, there's a Vivo channel for every band.
I misunderstood.
Vivo, the website, is a video channel, was a separate entity. YouTube bought them. And so there's a Crack the Skye visual movie that you can play along with the album, like your own Wizard of Oz, Dark Side of the Moon. And when Mastodon performed this for 2 years, I'll add one more last note. This is my next to last point. When they performed this for 2 years, they played the visualizer behind them as they performed it. It was incredible animated storytelling of the album. One thing, though, similar to The Wall, and this will be my last Pink Floyd analogy, and maybe some albums by Yes, like Fragile,
Won't be my
they
last.
made a record. They made a record so over their head, so at the top of their capabilities. They took a keyboard, players keyboards on this record. We even talk about it. There's synthesizers and Rhodes piano and Hammond B3s and Mellotrons. They took this guy Rich Morris on the road with them to perform this album. They played this album in complete totality hundreds of times for
That
2
is
years.
awesome.
But they were incapable of reproducing a lot of it, including the vocals. And Brent was drunk and a disastrous mess this whole time. But again, he had been through a traumatic event, so maybe he was suffering. But this is my Dark Side of the Moon of any other band that's not Pink Floyd or Tool. And again, a 10 of 10 for me. And then that, unless you have anything else to say, sir, I'm going to take it on.
I had something and I forgot it. Move on.
It's all for the best. You have been listening to the Glacially Musical Podcast, a Ghost Cult joint brought to you by GhostCultMan.com. I am the co-owner and chief editor of GhostCultMan.com. Thanks for being here. Just a reminder, if you somehow tuned in late or made it to the end of this, please enter our contest. Subscribe to us on YouTube and win enter our giveaway and win a bundle of vinyl curated by Nick from his personal collection. One of two bundles can be yours. And with that said, it's the Glacially Musical Podcast. It does not play in Peoria, but absolutely, Mastodon performed Crack the Skye in Peoria multiple times.
Did they play? Okay, I don't have a joke.
I thought you had a joke.
I don't have a joke.
Not even a little one?
No. I mean, I was going to say Crack the Guy or Cream of Some Young Guy, but I just couldn't figure out how to make it work.
Are you relieved this thing is over? Are you really happy it's over?
I will be relieved when I relieve myself.
All right, then. On that note, bye.
Bye.